And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, yes, I'm brand new with this idea. You know, if I'm really practicing it, you should expect it to be sloppy or whatever, the way you see me just sort of getting it together there, because it's new, right? If I had it perfect and it, you know, wasn't a big piece of material that I'm constantly working on, I wouldn't need to be practicing this, right? So I'm saying that because you know, you still want to practice good. We're all human, you know, you slow the tempo down, but it's really more about the reps and hearing it in these different situations. Hey, how's it going, everyone? So today I decided to share something that I think people hopefully may find interesting or perhaps insightful when it comes to your own progress with jazz guitar. So basically, in a few moments, I want to show you guys this unedited raw clip from my own actual guitar practice that I filmed yesterday, just for my own personal reference. I didn't really intend to, you know, show it in a video like this, but what I'm working on specifically in this clip, basically what we may define as applying a single or isolated piece of vocabulary that I happen to work out myself, although I don't think that matters, to an actual jazz tune, all right? And what that may look like, and, you know, showing you like the actual practice as opposed to like giving you a, you know, polished demonstration of it. This is what it really looks like. I think it'll be helpful to see. Before continuing, just some things I forgot to mention to clarify the video. So, you know, this actual practice clip, I think people hopefully will enjoy. It really is like the centerpiece of the video. It's like 3.5 minutes long. But when I'm putting together a video like this, I'll become really self-aware about like how much talking I'm doing beforehand, because I'm really thinking about that, and I know I could ramble a lot and people can click off. But I'll put a time like when it's starting up on the screen. Just bear with me, you know, I'm definitely keeping that in mind. I tried to say as much as I could or save it for after the video, but I'm doing it for you guys to think like what would be good for you guys to hear, I guess, before the playing, right? And other than that, I don't think I actually really introduced. There will be a PDF. You'll see this will be like 3 choruses long plus an intro that'll be in the PDF. It's basically the intro, the whole first chorus, and then like one other like main figure that I do for like the rest of it, all right? So I want to let you know that and hope you enjoy. So the tune that I'm doing this with here in the clip, I'm going to show it to you guys in a few moments. It's like 3.5 minutes long, the clip. But I'm doing it with the great tune by Charlie Parker, Segment. I'm sure some of you guys know it, except I decided to do it in the key of B natural minor instead of the original typical key of B flat minor. This is my own practice, so I could set up whatever kinds of creative parameters that I want, just to, you know, stretch my musical capabilities or to try to get something, you know, different going, whatever. Keep it interesting. All right, so that's the tune. I had the form here, but we'll talk more about this after. Now the phrase that I'm working on, or that you'll see, is actually from the last video, where I had like a little etude thing that I worked out with embellishments for Monk's Dream, and ironically, this was the only phrase in that video that wasn't actually part of the actual etude or what's in the PDF, but I showed you guys the music for this phrase in the last video as well, but we'll revisit it here. Basically, in Monk's Dream, it's like at the end of the A section, right? And that's technically, this is why you should listen to the music, like the harmonic rhythm, the way they play that, it's like that G7 is like syncopated, but that's almost like a rhythmic embellishment. You can sort of reduce a more simplified harmonic rhythm of those chords down to this. You know, it's like a 2-5-1, but we'll talk more about that after, right? And the phrase is mainly over this part anyway, but the idea was basically this. It was in 16th notes. It's like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... kind of missed a note, but that's okay, you get the idea. That's what it was, all right? Now, that was the original idea, so in a lot of ways, if I could apply that exactly to another situation, I'll do that, but I might variate things, especially in what you're going to see. It'll be like the end of the phrase a lot of times, or I'm going to fit it into different things, but before I break anything down, I don't want to talk forever. I want to show you the clip. So, right before I do that, basically, I'm playing through the form of Segment, which is this, 3 times, 3 choruses. I also, before I start that, play a little intro with some cool voicings, that a little vamp thing I came up with myself. I'm not going to say anything about it, but it's in the PDF. That's in there. Then the first chorus is basically what most of the PDF is, except for the first time through, the A section, I'm actually playing the actual melody of the tune, and that's still in the PDF as well. I just do that, that is still a good one to work on technically. In the bridge, first chorus through, you're gonna hear the first time I'm actually applying this to the progression, all right? Then the last A section out of the first chorus, I'm gonna do the real melody again. Then I'm gonna slow down for the last two choruses, because the way that I apply this basically to the A section, this is brand new to me, right? So I can't even do it comfortably. I'm trying to, just get some reps and hear it, whatever. So I slow down. I also play some chords in the first A section, but I'll label things in the footage, to sort of help keep your place. But that's all I'll say for now, because I'm talking a lot. I want to show you this. So let's look at it now, and then I'll, say some things after. So hope you enjoy. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slower. Okay, cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for sticking around. I'm just gonna say some things now, in case you're interested. So I think it makes sense to start with like where the idea comes from and then take it from there, right? So basically, it's like I said before, I had these sort of chromatic moving dominant 7 chords, more specifically what we may call dominant 7 sharp 11, and I'm trying, like, in the line, like the original line, basically in working that out, I'm trying to harmonically, like, voice lead the phrase through that specific harmony and make it sound smooth, but also maybe try to utilize a lot of that dominant 7 flat 5 or sharp 11 harmony, right? So that's how the phrase originally came. All right. What did I say here? The phrase really oh yeah, I've said this before. It really concentrates, like, the line basically happens over here when it lands in the original phrase. That's the only note that we hear here. So we can basically think of it as like a 2-5 type of phrase originally, all right? Even though the different contexts of application, may potentially be explored. So, what did I say here? Oh yeah, so basically, just as like a general sort of cadence category, we can see this is like a 2-5-1 that is really, like, the 5 is like a tritone substitution. So it's like a 2-7, flat 2-7, that's the tritone sub, and then 1-7, right? Like a tonic dominant, all right? The cool thing about this sort of general cadence here, with like a 2-7, 5-7 specifically, is it's a nice variation on a 2-5, even if it's not originally written into the changes of a given tune, because it can sound good basically resolving to all different types of tonics. So a 2-7, 5-7 sounds good going to a 1 major, like major 7. It sounds good going to a minor, and it sounds good going to a dominant. That doesn't always, work out like that with other situations. Sometimes, or, I'm not going to ramble about that. So, but it's a nice sound, right? And it's something that you can basically substitute. If you're playing or you want to, like, sort of substitute changes or sort of variate them, if you can identify 2 5s in a form, you got to know what you're doing. Don't just do this haphazardly, whatever the word is. But, like, if you have a regular, like, major 2-5-1, like 2 minor 7, 5-7-1, like 1 major, you can change the minor, the 2 minor 7 into like a 2-7, or just sort of imply that in the phrase. It's still a 2-5-1, same category, same key. But, I'm saying that because if you can understand that, you could take liberties with, where you might apply this. This could basically, the line, in essence, what I'm saying, that was sloppy. It could be applied even if we're just talking 2 5s to a major 2-5-1, minor 2-5, in like a 2-5 that resolves to dominant. So that's my only point with that. All right. Now, the cool thing about, deciding to maybe try this idea out over segment is that there really isn't a definitive melody originally on the bridge. So originally, it has these 2 2-5s, like this minor 2-5 in the key of E minor, and the major 2-5 in the key of D major, and they're wide open, right? So the way that I would apply this, because the original line, it had a harmonic rhythm of basically, like 2 chords per bar, or 2 beats per, like, 2-5, but here the harmonic rhythm is doubled. So if I want to resolve on like a 1 in like the same place, basically the thing to do, and this is, not that tricky, but you just basically double the rhythm. So instead of it being of 16th note subdivisions, you do the same thing, but you would do them as 8th notes, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? But in essence, it's the same thing, so that's not really much of a change. But we clearly have 2 5s here, so that is an obvious first place to put this, right? Alright, now, before I continue, I think this is a good point to mention. When I'm doing this sort of practice, what you're seeing in the clip, what I'm really focusing on is, like, what I would kind of see as, like, the mind component, which is typically, dealing with application, exactly the stuff we're focusing on. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, yes, I'm brand new with this idea. If I'm really practicing it, you should expect it to be sloppy or whatever, the way you see me just sort of getting it together there. because it's new, right? If I had it perfect and it, you know, wasn't a big piece of material that I'm constantly working on, I wouldn't need to be practicing this, right? So I'm saying that because you know, you still want to practice good. We're all human, you know, you slow the tempo down, but it's really more about the reps and hearing it in these different situations. But you got to recognize that I still had some technical facility enough to even, you know, attempt to do that at all. So the original line, the context, it actually spans 6 strings already. So I was kind of being more lazy, or didn't really explore like different positions of the cage or whatever, but context, like I always say, dictates everything. So you wouldn't even necessarily be able to play that whole exact thing in all these different positions anyway. But regardless of that, just that figure as it exists alone, you know, I already would take it and basically move it down. And I did that. I mean, the fact that I can even do that now, believe me, like, that's my point. Have I done enough of it? Am I comfortable for this to come out natural in my playing yet? Absolutely not. Although, even the work that I did already, I think it actually does a lot. But the point is, just recognize that. Like, I've been admitting that it's sloppy and it needs more work, but that's okay. I'm focusing on, like, where can I use this now? So, maybe I'm rambling, but it's just good to be mindful of that, right? Basically, when I'm doing this type of work, what I'm really focusing on, or the main point of it, is to get repetitions in with an idea in a kind of way where I'm playing around with the idea and trying to variate it and adapt it to fit into different harmonic situations, if that makes sense. All right, and this is actually a new thought even for me, because this type of work I've done, you know, plenty before, but the way that I kind of like work this into an etude or even like a PDF to give you guys, I think that could be a good idea to make something definitive. And it's sort of ironic because in the last video I was talking about how I would compose these things with no restrictions. I just wanted to hear things that were just generally musical to me. But now it's like after I identify an idea, then I can do something like this and work something out. And if you do that and you work on it, you know, you're gonna have more of a chance of, you know, fluently working stuff into your playing. All right, not to be pedantic. So, other than that, you know, just some things to wrap it up. And because what I didn't talk about yet is how do I apply it over the A section, all right? And this A section is basically the same changes as Soft Lays in the Morning Sunrise, just like a minor turnaround. Here we do it in B natural minor, but, you know, 2-measure pattern, B minor, and then the next measure, C sharp minor 7 flat 5, F sharp 7, just your minor 2 5 back to B minor, right? That's the whole A section. The only thing I didn't write in, and this matters, is like the second ending in like the second or last A. It's not like B minor, then C sharp, F sharp. It's just all B minor for 2 bars, which implies more of a definitive like resolution, you know, not turning around or going anymore. And that matters even with what I play, all right? So the way that I adapt that is basically with triplets, okay? Now just some interesting things harmonically, because I've been calling it dominant 7 sharp 11 a lot today. I talked about this in the other video. Basically, dominant 7 sharp 11, technically, it's really like that chord, the chord scale that goes along, it's like the root of a Lydian dominant, because if we built like an arpeggio, the way we typically do in thirds, you know, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 9 sharp 11, that sound, the scale, it has a natural fifth in it. That's different from like dominant 7 flat 5, where it's really just the first 4 notes make that same structure. And if you look at it like that, technically this would be the root of like an altered scale, okay? The reason why I'm saying that is because, again, it can kind of be dominant 7 sharp 11 for all these here. Definitely the resolution, definitely this one can go either way. But basically, because the altered scale and Lydian dominant, those 2 modes are a tritone away from each other. That's why this works. Like the flat 2/7, the scale of like A flat would be A flat Lydian dominant, which is the same thing as D7 altered, right? So the tritone sub is like an altered sound. That's what this is, okay? The reason why I'm saying that is because when I'm on B minor, because really the original idea is like this sort of 2-5 tension idea that you think sounds like it wants to resolve. But if I want to put it over B minor, basically what I'm thinking is like a tonic minor. I can think melodic minor, because I can think of this idea like the tritone. It would be the same thing, since the structure is very symmetrical. So instead of like starting from the root of this, you know, you can start over here. So I know this probably doesn't make sense for some people. Basically, B melodic minor. You go down a half step, you have A sharp altered. I could start the idea from here. Right, now I variate it and I play it in triplets. Right, because it is more of just like a minor phrase. Then in this part, I kind of go back to the original thing, but I just play it as triplets, because this is just a 2-5. So I start on the root, C sharp. Sorry. Yeah, and then back to this. Right, so that's how I'm able to adapt it, or one way that I ended up doing it. And it gives me a way of still using that same idea, but generating things, and then I just have to practice it and make it feel more natural and not have to think about any of this stuff, all right? So there you go. I think I'll leave it there. I know this stuff can get, you know, convoluted, but, you know, all this extra stuff is for the people that are really interested anyway. So if you're still here, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Let me know if you guys have questions, because I think sometimes when I'm recording this, I feel like, you know, I'm not articulating things good. But anything you're wondering about, you know, hit me up. I'll be here to help. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you're not already. If you can become a contributor to Patreon, where you'll get all the PDFs on this channel for only $5 a month. That's the best way to support me. If you want lessons, you can hit me up for that. Or, you know, anything else, just let me know. Share the video with anyone if you think they'd enjoy it. I appreciate the support. So I'm going to leave it there. So that's it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.